Hello, guys. This is the second episode of the book club meeting. So, for today's book club, we'll discuss several scenarios. So, this is the first scenario. The company you work for tells a client a lie. You know it is a lie. And later on, the client calls you and asks you the same situation. Do you tell the client the company you work for is lying to him or her? What exactly will you do in such a situation? Also, whenever there is free time or even during working hours, your colleagues gather and talk about issues that is in contrary with your values. They tell you are too judgmental and feel uncomfortable discussing these issues with you. What do you do in such a situation? Do you walk away? Do you confront them? Or if it were you, what would you do? So this and more in the book club discussion. Let's get right into it. You are welcome once again. So the book we are discussing for this segment is Stepping into Financial Abundance by Pastor Elvis Agyemang. And the chapter we are reading is chapter 1. So last week we discussed identity crisis, that's chapter 1A. And this time we are discussing territorial limitation, that is subchapter 1B. So he continued with the last chapter, that's identity crisis. So one thing he stated that I really liked was that an untransformed person will still complain in a place. So he was saying that if someone's mentality hasn't been transformed yet, no matter where you take the person will complain. You get it? You don't need for the person to go to maybe abroad, that is so people see that when you go there you start flourishing or anything if the mentality hasn't changed. So that is what I really liked from what he stated. And especially if God has planted you there, you see, if God said, like, you know that you have been planted there, it can be an institution, it can be a country, you will know you flourish. You get it? But if you have a mentality, a stagnant mentality, it would affect everything that is around you. Yeah. So, Mod, I want you to also tell me what you saw from this sub chapter.
Um, Good evening to you all.
Good
And so
evening.
for me, as I was reading this, I was thinking about how this relates to us all.
Mm,
And for most of us, I think we all tend to focus on our environment. So I related with what was said very much because it's like whenever we are struggling, we are like, oh, if I grew up here, if my parent did this, if I had these kinds of connection, then we fixate on that, and then we tend to ignore the rest, like the possibilities that we are capable of. And even with the planting, like let's say you've prayed for a job or a school, and then you go to the school, and then most of us we believe that because it's God that put us here, everything should be okay. We shouldn't have challenges, we shouldn't have problems or issues. Then you step into it and you realize that it's not as easy as you expected it to be. Maybe your teacher is difficult, and then you start questioning, did God really plant me here? So thinking back at that, I think that when you are talking about the mentality, it has to do with the mindset, it has to do with our focus. That no matter what situation you find yourself in, your focus should be on God. If you start dwelling on where you are, then everything falls apart. So let's say even at our workplace like this, the moment you get a job, you are doing everything right, and maybe your boss is disturbing you, your colleague is disturbing you, then from that moment on, you want to leave the company. You lose motivation. You'll be like, um, after all, these people they don't follow protocols. or no matter what I do, they are going to like scrap it off as useless or something of that sort. And then you lose that kind of passion and zeal that you want to, like, let's say the perfection that you would have done the work with, just because your environment is messy. So you decide to be messy. But the book lets us know that regardless of where you are not supposed to dwell on the environment or wherever you are. But then it should be on you and then the changes that you can bring to that environment. So once you have that mindset, you should be able to flourish wherever that you find yourself at. So that is what I have to say. But then I have a question about this environment thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, you have people growing up in certain environments. Like you can tell that they are like how they are because of where they grew up, or where they live, or where they work and all that. So how do you disassociate yourself from that? Because for us Christians, we have this exposure, we walk into Christianity, and then we're able to kind of shift from the worldly perspective. So for people who don't have that exposure, how how should it be? Like, I don't know if you get a question that I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying that, in as okay, so I was asking that we are saying that the environment shouldn't make us who we are,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately we are who we are because of the kind of environment that we find ourselves in. So
Okay.
between establishing ourselves in Christ and all that, you can't say, like, once you are focused, let's say if I'm in an environment where everybody like steals, everybody steals, and I'm the only one there who doesn't steal. Your friends, everybody is telling you that, everybody is giving you pressure that
Mm-hmm.
steal, like that. You are basically on your own.
Oh,
So
okay.
even
Mm-hmm.
when you are not stealing, there
Yeah.
are certain attitudes or
Mm-hmm.
behaviors
Mm-hmm.
that you are going to develop
Mm-hmm.
as a like self-survival kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you draw the line? Like, how do you find your, like, keep
I
yourself
get
so
you.
focused on God? Because if it's just you against it's very, very draining. So how do you
You
work
see,
around such situation?
I really like your question. So I'll say something, and if Adley wants to say anything too, that would be nice. So even when I was reading it, the question came in mind before I even finished reading it, and he already answered it. So he was saying that your location doesn't matter wherever that you are. If you have the identity of Christ, you flourish. So I asked myself, then why is it that God asked Abraham to leave that land, you know, and you take him to a land he has promised? Couldn't he have flourished where he was? But God asked him to leave. And what he's later on, he answered the question that where God has planted you is where you flourish, not necessarily like where you are. If God hasn't planted you there, you may struggle in that sense. But I like the question that even when in the environment, people are maybe corrupt, and it's, if you are not careful, you may also adopt those actions or attitudes that most of them are also doing, especially if someone is not working, the person will be sleeping when the boss passes, and you'll be like you'll be pretending to be working or doing certain things that's, it's not pleasing in the sight of God. You get it? And I don't know whether you remember this scripture that says that we are in this world, but we are not of this world. You see, we are the light of the world. We are the source of the earth. So if the salt loses its tasteness, then it becomes useless. You see, so as a Christian, you are the light of the world. You see, some of them, they have diluted their Christianity. They are say they are Christians, but they are not really doing what pleases God. You see, it would be so nice if everyone were Christian, like that everyone abides by the rules, everyone is not corrupt. That would be such a beautiful place to live in. You see, but we are in this world, so most of the people we live with are not genuine Christians. Some are genuine Christians, but most of them are few. And that is the reality of it. But we should also remember that since God is with us, the struggles may not be easy. But since He's with us, He will help us overcome whatever temptations that come our way. Even in David, you remember when um the master's wife wanted to sleep with him. You get it. He works there. Like that one is even more difficult. He works there. And I think as a slave, so you can't even say that I am quitting this job. This I am being sexually harassed. But he still worked there and he was able to run away, flee from that temptation. You get it. So, and the Bible also says that God doesn't give us anything that is greater than our capacity or our strength. So He knows we can overcome it. It may look so difficult, but I know that God with us, we can overcome everything. Or Maud, you like to ask something?
Well, I
Mhm.
think you answered my question, but my emphasis will be on, let's say, you in your capacity. How do you deal with it? Because, let's say, personally, my kind of work, I find myself amongst a lot of men, and it's this promiscuous environment. So the moment you shy away from certain conversations, certain ideas, then you're like, um, how do you call this thing? Like, what's wrong? You are naive. You are not associating yourself with your colleagues at work, whatnot. And then because of how their conversations are, most, let's say the typical example is most of their conversations are sexualized. The moment you don't involve yourself in that, then there's this isolation, there's this tag that you are given. And here
Mm,
lies the case. This is an environment you're supposed to make an impact, but already they are not allowing you in, or you're not getting the opportunity to kind of work around things. So aside you focusing on God, trusting God, doing what is right, how do you get around these things, like some practical ways? Because if you say you are putting yourself out of the entire group, you don't really do much. And then entering into the group too, then either they are talking about everything, or they don't talk to you at all because they feel like you are being judgmental and all that. So in that, do you sort of avoid speaking or relating with all of them and then focus on your kind of people? I don't know, some practical things that we are working, like we can put into practice so that in the end of the day, you're able to stay focused on what God has told you to do.
that's a very good question. So, our viewers, if you are listening to it, kindly comment what you think should be done. So, me, I remember when I was working at a place, and what happened was that this gentleman, he was actually a Christian, or should I say he was a Christian. I believe he was a Christian because that's what he told me. So one time we were talking about something and he was like, "Stop this! I God." So I was a little furious. I was like, who are you to tell me I should stop this God? Especially when I thought he was a Christian. So I was a little offended by that statement. So me, I actually told him that like that is not a cool state. That's not a good statement to make. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I think sometimes it's not easy for you. You want to feel like you belong to such a community or such group of people. But I think you also have standard. The funny thing is that when they see that you have standard, they actually admire you. But because they kind of want you to be part of them, no, they will not really express their admiration of how you live your life. They'll intentionally look they'll intentionally look down upon it and test your limits, for them to see how far can we go for her to maybe join us or to succumb to what we do. That's what I actually believe. So they see that you have a standard, but they just want to push you for them to see how far they can go with it. Yeah, but I think maybe if it's maybe lunchtime and they're having this conversation, maybe you should not join them during that time. Or if it's work time and they're having this conversation, like, oh, but we are working. When you are done, you guys will talk about this. But right now, let's concentrate on work. Yeah. So, or if you guys are just standing there and just raise up this topic, maybe you should kind of walk away because the more you listen to it, people can say that, oh, um, it's nothing. It is just they are just listening to stories or anything. But the Bible says that blessed is he who doesn't walk in the way. I think it's Psalm 1 verse 1. Just a minute. A psalm. So it says, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in the step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord." You get it? So the more you kind of walk with such people and you stand with them, and eventually, if you are not careful, you also mock their own the standard you were upholding. You get it? So it's a step by step thing. If you work with them, then you stand, then you are now sitting with them, then it's you begin to dilute your own standard and principles that you already have. Yeah, so it's difficult, but with time, I know that we can overcome it. Yeah. So maybe someone can say anything. Or Mod, if someone has this issue with a coworker, how would you advise that person? Or Adelaide.
Well,
So yeah, so Adelaide, prepare your
so
answer. So
for
Mod,
me,
yeah.
I usually stick to what I know. So naturally, I don't really talk a lot. So when they are having such conversations, I'm mostly quiet. But then every once in a while, I'll be there and they'll be like, "Oh, when you are conversing with Maud, it's not nice because she won't talk." And then it's like she's judging us, she's judgy, or she's naive because the world is this is how the world is. So the sooner you accept it, you the better it is for you. Or you now you like you come and experience it for yourself. Those kinds of things. So when I'm in this situation, most of the times I stick to what I know because that is what I believe will work for me. And that is what I've known, and that is what has brought me this far. So I fixate on that. And then I tend to find somebody, at least I believe in every place that you are, there is always going to be this one person that it's like can make everything comfortable or a bit manageable. But if you don't have that person, then you still have your friends, your family, your support that you already have. So let's say, oh, if I come and then I find myself in a situation and then I reacted this manner, I got this kind of feedback. Then I come back, I cross check. Is it that I was actually wrong? So aside the general conviction that I have with God, with the word, I can also speak to a friend that I trust or a mentor, a pastor, be like, oh, this is the situation. Was I wrong to be this way, to act this way? Especially, I'm a bit, how do you call it, concerned about the judgmental. I don't like, as a Christian, I don't like coming off as judgmental to people because at the end of the day, I have to pull them to God as well. So I asked, was I being judgmental? Was there a way I could have approached the whole situation better? So I think being grounded, knowing what you stand for, and then at the same time checking yourself to see if you are, let me use the judgmental, whether you are being judgmental, although you are in the right standing, or you are veering off from where you are supposed to be. Because most often, something like the conversation that you are talking about, you be hearing, oh, this thing is just guys talk, it's girls talk, they're just talking. And it will come from a fellow Christian that I don't believe in this. Oh. But when we are out with a group of guys, it's just how they talk. Then so you analyze some of these things and then you see, oh, am I veering off? Am I okay? And then when you are able to tell on the right standard, not by the worldly standard that you're on the right path, I think you should be okay. As much as difficult, as even though it's going to be a bit difficult and isolating. So I hope you can pick some things from what I said.
You've said it all, oh, honestly, because the thing is that they know you don't like these conversations. Why are they always bringing it up to you? Then they'll ask you like this more there, sound or tea or something. Like it's as if they are trying to push you, or I don't know. If they know that's what you don't like, why don't they also respect your boundaries? Yeah. Adelaide, this one I want you to say something.
I have listened carefully to the both of you, and I think you are making so much sense. So, concerning what Maud spoke about, there are different type of people in the workplace. Some of them you don't even know whether they are Christians or not. But what I know is that as a good Christian, you have to still stand your grounds. You shouldn't be intimidated or let anybody kind of change your mind or anything of that sort. Me personally, I'm a very quiet person and my people know me. So there are certain things that they will not even bring to my table because they know that if I say no, it's no. You can't convince me. I know what I want in this life. So if you are thinking that, oh, maybe, oh, this girl, she's naive, she's quiet, she's an introvert, let's try and change her and all that, it will not work at all. It will not work. So you should know that you are also like at the workplace to work hard and then make money at the end of the day. So sometimes you can just overlook all of these things and still just stick to your ground and you'll be fine. So that's a little I have to add.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very nice submission. Yeah, as I said, like if they know you don't like this conversation, why are they always bringing it up to you? I just feel that they're trying to push your bottoms. And sometimes, most of the times, they secretly admire these people. Like the way you are, they really admire you, and they just want to see how far they can go for whether they would bring you on board to their own lastful mentality or something like that. But and the funny thing is that when you join them, then they also mock at you. Hey, you two, you've joined us. You see, you two, you've joined us like that. Even the devil, they were. I think there's a scripture that said something like, "You two, how has thou fallen, O mighty Lucifer?" Something like that. You see, they admired him, and now that he has fallen, then they are saying that, "How have you also fallen, and be like us?" So don't let that worry you so much, thinking that maybe they feel like you are being judgmental, or if they know they don't like to have those conversations around you, they should stop it. They know what they are doing. They know pan. So yeah, so stand on your grounds. Yeah. So Mod, do you have any other question?
Oh no, I think I am okay. So but let me see my last opinions or my take home from this chapter is like we're saying that we think, yeah, never speak against any country or institution you are part of. Rather pray for that institution. I think I still have a question.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
when this particular part is like telling you that when, let's say, I am in this church, a lot of things are going wrong in the church, but I shouldn't be speaking against the church that, oh, this church crowd, the pastor is promiscuous, the maybe the chief administrator is a thief, everybody, all the church members are gossips and all that. And that is the reality of the church. Now, to be planted in there or to be in there, his example, for instance, is like he always spoke good about his church despite the errors within the church. And I feel like where is the line to covering up for the church? Because if I'm not supposed to speak ill against it, or people will be asking like, how are things going? And you're like, oh, everything is fine. We are moving on. Okay. But then there are things in there that have to be resolved. And you are not talking about it because you don't want to speak ill of the church. So I don't know how to me it feels like you are covering, I don't know, like you're painting a false picture, especially to let's say new members that are coming in. Not that you're going to um lie to the person that is a perfect something. But then how do you kind of draw that line like um I'm not speaking ill about the church, but then things are not going on well. That kind of thing. But what I learned from it is like, so that is the question. But from my understanding or what I learned from it is like, you can't criticize. I think another pastor or man of God has also mentioned something like this, that you can't criticize a system and then, or you can't fight against a system and then be prosperous in it. So when I read it, that was like the understanding as I go that no matter the situation that you find yourself, you should be able to grow out of it, make prosper. You can't antagonize it and then expect to be successful. So that was what I learned from it. But my question still remains. This not speaking ill, are you keeping quiet about the wrongs, how to speak ill of an organization, even though a lot of things are not going?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so from that place, I think it's page 18. So he was saying something like he he doesn't undermine his ministry, and he was saying that no person from outside the ministry, no friend has ever heard anything wrong with the ministry. And it doesn't mean that the ministry didn't have any issues, but just that no one heard him complain about it. And he was also saying that, let me see, I want to paraphrase it. So he was saying that he corrects issues in his ministry always, but the reality is he does not see any issues. So I totally understand where you're coming from, because sometimes you can see really that there are some issues going on with maybe an institution or a country or something like that. But I think that from his perspective, he actually corrects the members. You see, if maybe a member goes to steal, the pastor will not come and stand on the pulpit that the secretary of finance has gone to steal this and this. So you see, you people who know or something like that. But he as a pastor, he may sit back, correct the financial administrator or something. And if the finance person doesn't change, he can sack that person, and that will be an inside conversation and action, but not that you come out and destroy the person and everything. But sometimes the issue comes when maybe the whole church or the whole institution knows about it, and we are all waiting for justice to prevail. You get it? That's a big question. That's a big issue too. So maybe I see that he would, from my understanding, he wants to not say anything bad about the ministry. Not that anyone has a flaw or something, but he would correct it indoors. But he speaks into maybe in faith that the ministry is great, is good. And as they grew up, indeed too, the ministry has flourished. But here comes also, like in Ghana here, if there are flaws or something, does that mean that the no one should really speak again? And but Maud, I want to also hear from you. What do you think about it? Is it good to maybe not, I don't know whether is it hiding it or not exposing it? Okay, how do you see what he stated there?
Yeah, so that is my question.
Mm,
How do you draw the line between hiding it and then like not exposing it?
yeah.
Because I have, let's say, a typical example is, let's say I am a contractor. Let's say I work between a client and then the contractor, but I am more with the contractor. Now the client is in agreement with the contractor that come and do this, and then here lies the case: you are there with the client, and then you know full well that your contractor is not doing, or your management, your boss is not doing as they should be doing. And then now you are there with the client and they are asking you about this and this and that. Now you're not supposed to speak ill of your company or the situation, but you know full well that maybe your contractor is the one not abiding by the agreement. So now that I'm not supposed to speak ill or air out the dirty laundry, which is supposed to be the truth. Let's say they are supposed to bring this person and they are not bringing that person, and you know full well that they don't have that person to bring, but they've told your people that they are bringing this person. Now your client is asking about it from you. Are you going to lie? Are you going to hide the, oh, they are working on it? You see the nuances between some of these things. So I don't know that high, like keeping quiet when you know full well that this is not how the situation is. That is where my confusion lies. Or unless I am misunderstanding the whole situation or the scenario that Pastor Elvis is painting.
I want a little bit of clarification on what Maud said, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, Maud, you can.
So I think there was this time Ghana trended. once on social media because a foreigner came in there to had an issue with Ghana police service, and the person was talking about how you have to tip them to get things done. And then it became like a whole issue that I think some people responded that it is like that is the truth. Now that is how the Ghanaian system is. That is how we do things and blah blah. Like they were talking down on Ghana for that. And then other people were like, you shouldn't be talking, like you shouldn't be saying that it is true. No, it is not true. In Ghana, we don't do this. Like it is not. Maybe it's just one person that a person like encounters. So what she's saying is a total lie and whatnot. So in that circumstance, when you are, it's more like when you talk about it. Now you're speaking ill. You're not kind of keeping that rapport that Ghana is good. But when you speak against it, when you speak for it, then it's like you're trying to cover up these things about the country. So that is my like in that situation. What do we do about it?
Okay, thank you very much, Maud, for the clarification. So one thing I know is that there's a very thin line between norm or what people think it's normal and then what is right to do. So mostly we are swayed by what is going on. Oh, this is normal. Oh, this is the trend, but it's not the right thing. So if it's not right, it's not right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. There's no lukewarm situation where, oh, maybe in this situation it's okay because you can't embarrass Ghana and then let's just cover it up and everything. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And as a Christian, you just have to say the truth just the way it is. You will be spoken ill of and everything, but you still have to just go for the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. And even I remember when I was also sharing my experience why I left Germany. Some people were like, now you, why do you want to share that experience? You let everyone think that most of the people there, they are not doing this and may not be living the kind of life people perceive them to live. But I was saying that, but this is my experience. Why should that offend you so much? You get it? I think sometimes, as you said, people want to pretend. People have that kind of notion that they want people to see them in a certain light that is opposite from how they live. You get it? And it's a way and manner of also expressing that. If you kind of express it that maybe for instance, you say that this institution that I'm working in is a very terrible institution, these people did this, I'll do that, it's a very negative light. I remember recently I was attending a course and one person raised the points against one of the course teachers, that person is not friendly. What is that? Is that how they are? But the other teacher said that, what exactly did this teacher do? So that tell us what he did so that we would kind of speak about it. So the student was saying that she would bring her husband to the school and so that the husband will confront the company and everything. But she was like, no. The teacher who was speaking with her said, no, don't do that because this is the work I work. This is where I work. This is where I eat. This is where I get my money from. So I'm not going to allow you to spoil my company. If there is a way and mean to resolve this issue, let's do it in a civilized manner. But don't create chaos for people to have that negative notion of where she works. And I liked that she stood for that. She stood for her company, even though her company is not perfect. She knows that this is where she gets her income from, and there's a way and means of solving that issue. We can solve it, but don't tarnish the image of the company. For most issue too, it's a very dicey situation because if she comes to tell the client that it is not true, what her company has promised him, it is not true. And if the client goes to report to her employer, what happens? So it's all about application of wisdom. You get it? It can be that this is a very also specific situation, because you don't even know how to answer it. You don't want to give an answer that is a lie, and you don't also want to deceive the clients and show that, oh, what the company is saying is true. But there is a way and means to communicate with the client that, let me get back to you, or let's see what should be done. And maybe Mod can do a backdoor communication, or speak to the manager behind closed doors and say that, oh, what we did wasn't right, even though it's not easy. But I believe God can give us wisdom in this specific situation, because it's not easy. There are so many specific issues that happen. You be like, I want to be a Christian. What is the Jesus way to go about it? And I know God will give us specific wisdom for specific situation, so that we can handle it well. Yeah. Or Mod, you can ask something.
Oh no, I'm okay. So I think you actually took the words right out of my mouth about the wisdom thing. So it all boils down to wisdom in some of these situations. So with regards to the speaking ill, like you don't go out to go and talk about the issues without addressing them. And sometimes too, the motivation behind how you speak out is not to address them, it's just to criticize people or to criticize the circumstance that you are in. So we should be more centered around um, working on the problem, addressing the problem. And then in terms of speaking good, more like prophesying goodness into your situation or into your company. So sometimes I think he made reference to, can anything good come out of Nazareth? So when we, no matter how bad a place is, I think we should be able to speak goodness out of it. That even though, let's say, even though everybody is losing their job, me, I won't lose my job, that kind of thing. I'm okay. People are not prospering in Ghana, but me, I'll prosper. So I think that kind of speaking in terms of the goodness or good about where you are. And then with the wisdom, I mean, there's a way that you can speak or handle situations where you are not um like speaking ill about your people or your organization. At the same time, you are not lying or you are not hiding the reality of what is happening. So I think both of you have given me insight or wisdom on how to deal with some of these situations. So thank you.
Thank you to Mod for your submission. Yeah. So would you like to share your final words about, yeah, all that we've discussed? So starting from Adelaide.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yes, hello.
Okay, so yeah, I think just like Maud and Esther said, you said it all. And to be a Christian, honestly, sometimes it's very, very, very hard, but you just have to try and keep it at the back of your mind that you still have to be truthful in all your ways. And I really like the point where Esther said that sometimes you know that this is the situation on the ground, but you cannot tell the customer or the clients the truth. So the best thing is just to say, oh, okay, you're working towards it, or you want to talk to management about it, and probably give the person feedback at another time. And then you can go back door and then talk to management or those who are handling it, talk to them, and then they can speed up everything instead of lying, even though there's a term called medicinal lie. This is when you lie because you have to. Sometimes you're in a situation and you just have to lie. But it's a very dicey one because if you are lying, then how are you a Christian? Do you understand? So you just have to apply wisdom and knowledge to the whole situation and then probably tell the customer that you are going to check up on it. You discuss it with management and give the person feedback. So generally, I have really learned a lot, and I'll apply it. For the first discussion we had about um, the territorial limitation. Mostly, it's in the mind. Sometimes it's in the mind because you'll be like, oh, in this same situation, this person is flourishing because this maybe the person is rich or the family is well to do, born with a silver spoon in the mouth and everything. But in that same situation, somebody too is failing. So sometimes all of this is in your head. You have to get out of your own head and try very hard and prosper. Because once you have that mentality that you're going to prosper at all costs, you will definitely prosper and God will help you. Because God said that the work of your hands, if you are doing it and you are doing it very well, He will bless you. So there'll be productivity. So, yes, basically, that is all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Maud?
Okay, so for me, my final remarks will be that this session kind of fuels my notion or my belief on the fact that no matter the environment that you find yourself in, you should be able to prosper. So let's say if it's a negative environment, at least you know that this is what you're not supposed to do to make it. And then if it's a positive one, this is what you can do to make it. So no matter your environment, so as far as you are focused on God and what He has called you to do, you should be able to make it in life. And then in the same manner, when you are in an environment or an organization, no matter how bad it is, you shouldn't dwell on the negativities. You work on addressing them, and in all things, you apply wisdom to it, and then you should be okay. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your wise submissions. And I really appreciate Maud and Adelaide for honoring this invitation. Yeah, so I hope to hear and see from you again next week. Yes. So this is it. And yeah, kindly like, subscribe to this channel. And don't forget, people who are amazing help others to be amazing. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.